Welcome to the Easy Peasy Methodcast, the podcast where we dive deep into the easy peasy method for quitting porn. This isn't just a conversation about stopping, it's about understanding, letting go, and embracing the freedom and joy of being a non user. Today, we're exploring some of the most powerful metaphors from the White Book of Sexaholics Anonymous. Now, why metaphors? Because sometimes words alone aren't enough to break through our mental blocks. Sometimes we need an image, a story, a symbol that shakes us awake and makes us see things differently. And that's exactly what the White Book does. It uses simple but deep metaphors to explain the nature of addiction, the struggle of surrender, and the pathway to freedom. These aren't just nice little stories, they're maps, guiding us out of the prison of compulsive behavior. And if we look at them through the lens of the easy peasy method, we'll see something incredible. Addiction, whether it's to porn, alcohol, drugs, or even toxic relationships, is just an illusion, a mental trap. And once we see it for what it is, we can step out of it effortlessly. So let's start with one of the most powerful metaphors in the White Book, the monkey trap. Imagine this. A monkey reaches into a small cage to grab a piece of fruit. The opening is just big enough for its open hand, but too small for its clenched fist. The monkey tries to pull the fruit out, but it can't. And here's the crazy part. It refuses to let go. The monkey will stay stuck there, trapped, not because the cage is holding it, but because it refuses to open its hand. This is exactly how addiction works. The bars aren't real. The trap isn't locked. We're free the moment we decide to let go. But we don't, because we think we need what we're holding on to. And this is where easy peasy comes in. Addiction only works when we believe that quitting means losing something, that if we let go, we'll be deprived, we'll suffer, we'll miss out. But the truth is, we're not losing anything. We're just freeing ourselves. And yet, we cling. We tell ourselves, just one more time, just this last time. We say, I'll quit tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes because we're still holding on. The White Book and Easy Peasy both tell us the same thing. Let go and you're instantly free. No withdrawal, no suffering, just peace. Now let's talk about another metaphor, one that hits even deeper. The man hanging from a cliff. Picture this. It's nighttime and a man is walking along the edge of a cliff. He slips, falls, and at the last second grabs onto a tree branch. He's dangling there in the darkness, terrified. He screams for help, and a voice answers. It tells him to let go. But he can't. He's convinced that if he lets go, he'll plummet to his death. He hangs on as long as he can, struggling, suffering. His arms burn, his fingers go numb. Finally, exhausted, he can't hold on any longer. He lets go, and guess what? He falls 1 foot. That's right. The ground was just below him the entire time. How many of us are doing exactly that? Holding on so tightly to something that we think is saving us? Porn, alcohol, toxic relationships, when in reality, we're one step away from freedom. We refuse to let go because we think we'll fall, that we won't be able to handle life without our addiction, that we'll be miserable. But it's all in our heads. The moment we let go, we realize we were safe all along. This is why the easy peasy method works. It doesn't make you fight addiction. It shows you that the addiction itself was never real. It was a trick, a lie, a fear-based illusion. When you stop seeing it as something you need and realize it's actually been holding you prisoner, you don't just quit. You escape effortlessly. And that brings us to one of my favorite metaphors in the White Book, the third option. This one is powerful because it speaks to something we all experience, this false idea that we only have two choices. Think about it. When you're addicted, you think you can either keep indulging or suppress the urge with sheer willpower. It's a constant battle between giving in and fighting against it, and both options feel miserable. That's why people get stuck. That's why people relapse. Because no matter which side they choose, they're still in the struggle. But the White Book reveals the secret. There's a third option. You don't have to fight. You don't have to give in. You can just walk away completely. You can step out of the battle and be free. This is exactly what Easy Peasy teaches. The only reason addiction feels hard to quit is because we believe we're losing something. But once we see that we're actually gaining everything, peace, freedom, clarity, the struggle disappears. We don't quit in the traditional sense. We just stop wanting it. Now let's shift gears for a moment. Let's talk about the raft on the river. This one speaks to the slow, creeping nature of addiction. Imagine you're floating down a beautiful river on a raft. At first, the water is calm. It feels nice. But little by little, the current gets stronger. You start picking up speed. You see rapids ahead, but you tell yourself, it's fine, I can handle this. Before you know it, you're completely out of control, headed straight for a waterfall. That's addiction. It starts small, it seems harmless, just a little escape, just a way to relax, but it escalates slowly, subtly, until suddenly you're no longer in control. You're not choosing anymore. The addiction is choosing for you. And by the time you realize you're in trouble, you feel like it's too late. But here's the thing, you can jump off the raft at any time. You're not trapped, you're just afraid. And that fear, that's the real addiction. The White Book and Easy Peasy both tell us the same thing. As soon as you see the trap, you can walk away from it. And finally, let's talk about the hunger versus lust metaphor. This one is deep. The White Book suggests that what addicts are really searching for isn't sex or pleasure or excitement. What they're really hungry for is connection. Addiction is a fake substitute for something deeper. We think lust will satisfy us, but it only leaves us emptier. It's like being thirsty and drinking salt water. It feels like relief in the moment, but it only makes you more dehydrated. Lust is a false solution. The real hunger is for something bigger, a sense of purpose, a connection to something greater. And the only way to truly satisfy that hunger is to stop looking for cheap substitutes. Easy Peasy nails this point. It tells us that addiction is nothing more than a habit of seeking happiness in the wrong place. The moment you realize that porn, alcohol, whatever your addiction is, it never actually gave you anything, you're free. So here's the takeaway. Addiction isn't what we think it is. It's not a force that has power over us. It's not something we need to fight. It's just a cage with an open door, a tree branch when the ground is right beneath us, a raft we can jump off anytime. The only thing keeping us stuck is fear, and fear is just an illusion. That's it for today's episode of the Methodcast. If this resonated with you, if you felt a shift while listening, I challenge you. Don't just think about this, act on it. Let go of whatever you've been clinging to. Step away from the battle. You're free the moment you decide to be. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, send it their way. Because sometimes one metaphor, one shift in perspective is all it takes to change a life. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. Together, we're breaking free from addiction and building lives that are full of joy, purpose, and freedom. Until next time, keep celebrating your wins, stay curious, and never forget, you've got this.